Alright, we're back for Operation Tirpitz. This is turn 6, January 39, the German turn. Before we get into that, let's do a bit of housekeeping. Um, the Burma Road was open last turn, so the KMT should have collected 2 additional IPCs, which they did not account for. So, just put it in recording that that's taken care of. Moving on. Right now, January 39, the Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact is available. And I would like to announce the signing of both the Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact and the Japanese-Soviet Non-Aggression Pact, both of which have been signed by Spitfire. Been negotiating with that over the past day, so we've got both of those signed, and just moving forward. The tech rolls, I have once again rolled tech off screen on the Dice Maiden bot on Discord. This time, nothing exciting. Literally no hits. Miss on advanced artillery, jet fighters, long-range aircraft, and improved logistics. Alright. For the buys, I'm declaring that I'm buying 1 transport plane for 8 IPCs, 1 naval transport for 7 IPCs, 2 airborne for 6 IPCs, and 1 mech infantry for the remaining 4 IPCs. And that's my buys. Next we can move on to combat movements, and this is going to be a long list of moves. First off, from Bavaria, the German transport plane is flying to Western Germany and picking up an airborne infantry, and then flying to Northern England. And on the way, the medium bomber from Western Germany is joining them. Real quick, I want to address the seaplanes. There is a seaplane base, and it looks like it does border A6, so he would be able to scramble into that sea zone if there were a naval transport, attempting an amphibious invasion from that sea zone. There is not, so there's nothing those seaplanes can do from southern England, and the fighter is just too far away, so it's just going to be a straight-up fight between the airborne and the medium bomber versus the militia and the medium bomber. Alright, moving on. Everything in eastern Germany is attacking West Poland, as is one of the infantry from Königsberg. The remaining infantry from Königsberg is attacking Lithuania. Everything from Slovakia is attacking Dolnoslavsky. The tactical bomber from Berlin is attacking West Poland. The fighter from Berlin is attacking Lithuania. And the mobile units from Berlin are attacking Belgium, along with the rest of Western Germany except the airborne. So all of the infantry and artillery, all the mobile units, and the fighter are all attacking Belgium as well. As well as all 5 tanks from Bavaria. And that is the entirety of my combat moves. That is actually not. There are naval combat moves. I am declaring Blitzkrieg this turn. The naval units, as far as I'm aware, are only allowed to move in the first combat and non-combat movement phase, so let's go ahead and take care of them first as well. From A-22, the coastal submarine is moving into A-21, and it will be raiding the convoys in A-21. None of these ships are on escort, so I'm just going to raid it for free. A-28, the 2 submarines are moving into A-27. I'm going to go ahead and grab a rating marker for the coastal sub and for the subs in 827. The sub in the Mediterranean from in M2 is moving into M4 and raiding there. And the sub in A53 is moving into A51 and raiding there. And that is my first turn of combat movements declared. There is an invasion into Poland and into Belgium, which should trigger a dice income, a set amount of dice income, wartime or peacetime income increase for both France and for Great Britain. But later this turn, actually, I've already declared war on Great Britain with a declaration of a combat into Northern England. So Great Britain is definitely at full income, as is France. They don't yet have control of Belgian or Polish territory. That aligns at the end of the turn. So we're going to start from this position in the economic chart. And with that, we should be ready to just crack into them. I want to start with Northern England. So we have no terrain modifiers, an airborne and a medium bomber attacking a militia and a medium bomber. So that should be a 2 and a 4 versus a 3 and a 7. Alright, let's go ahead and roll. Excellent. 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 Both hits on the British units and no casualties for the Germans. So Northern England is captured. So let's get a German occupation marker and adjust incomes. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Next, we'll go into Lithuania next. There is 1 fighter and 1 infantry versus 1 militia. And thanks to Arbubs for helping me out, picking up some of the die and rolling them. 1 hit from the Axis, it looks like, once the dice have settled. Yeah. 1 hit for the Axis and none for the Lithuanians. So Lithuania is also captured. Okay. Let's go into West Poland. 1 infantry with a river penalty. 4 infantry without, an artillery, and a tactical bomber. Versus 3 infantry and a cavalry. So there's an artillery, which will roll separately for first strike. Infantry, that's upgraded by artillery. 3 remaining infantry, and 1 infantry with a river penalty. Plus the tactical bomber. The first strike missed, and let's just go with the rest of the rolls. Two hits for the Germans, 2 hits for the Poles. That is unfortunate. Alright, so I'm going to take the hit on 2 infantry, and the Poles will take their hit on 1 cavalry and 1 infantry. And then press. The The Poles got no more hits and were wiped off the board. So that's Western Poland captured by the Germans with 2 infantry losses sustained. And that means the German income goes up by an additional 1. I also did increase the German income for Lithuania, so we should be at 29 now. Okay. Now let's roll for Donaslavsky. 1 cavalry, 2 infantry against 2 infantry. There is a river, but that is between the Bohemian and Donaslavsky border. From Slovakia, we don't have to deal with that. Three, 2, 2, and 6. That is 1 hit for the Poles and 1 hit for the Germans. So, another infantry is dead, as is one of the Polish infantry. Pressing again. Another hit. Okay, that's Stolnislavski captured. 1 infantry, total lost. Alright, and that is all of the Polish combat movements declared. The last combat we have to roll before sub-rating is in Belgium. No terrain modifiers, 4 infantry versus 2 light tanks, 4 mechanized infantry, 7 medium tanks, and a fighter. Oh, also 2 infantry and an artillery. The artillery will roll separately. Okay. Okay. That should be the entirety of the German army. 4 mechanized infantry, 2 light tanks, 2 infantry, an artillery, a fighter, and 7 medium tanks. Go ahead and roll the artillery. The artillery missed, so let's go ahead and roll the rest of the army. The Belgians are easily wiped off the map, and no hits, so that is an excellent roll for the Germans. And that does cover the entirety of the land combats associated with turn 1 of my Blitzkrieg, with Belgium captured. And with Belgium captured, at the end of the turn, the British will gain control of Belgian Congo, but we will do that at the end of the turn in its proper time. Alright, so, non-combat movement. Actually, let's roll for British convoy rating. Let's start in the south. The die on the left will represent my sub. The die on the right will represent the anti-sub convoy forces. And the German sub rolls at a +2. So let's just roll the die and see what we get. That is a dice differential of 1 with a +2, so that's all 3 damage done on the West African line. Which takes 3 IPCs from the British. Moving on, let's roll for the sub in the Mediterranean. And again, a dice differential of 1 with a +2 bonus. That's again 3 damage on the Mediterranean line, which again subtracts 3 IPCs from the British. Now we'll roll for the first sub in A27. No damage. Second sub in A27. 2 damage. And lastly, the coastal sub in A21 is going to roll. This has a +1 instead of a +2 bonus because it's a coastal sub. Other than that, so it's just an additional 2 damage placed across the Europe America line. So the British are left with 7 IPCs remaining for their next turn. Okay. That should be turn 1 of the Blitzkrieg combat move completely declared. Non-combat moves, the only thing I have to declare is that every aircraft across my entire empire is flying to Western Germany. That's the transport plane and medium bomber from Northern England, the fighters from Belgium, Boleslavsky, and Lithuania, which can reach it. The fighter from Lithuania flew from Berlin. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it can reach. Berlin does have an airfield. And the tactical bomber from West Poland is also flying to Western Germany. And that is the turn 1 non-combat movement finished. So let's go straight into the second set of combat moves for my land and air units as enabled by the Blitzkrieg ability. All I have to declare is that the entirety of my forces in Belgium and in Western Germany are attacking Picardy. Well, the units that can. The medium bomber and the transport plane with the airborne are not attacking Picardy. They're just going straight into Paris. And then everything that can blitz from Belgium into Picardy, into Paris, is going to. The exceptions there being the 2 infantry and the artillery will not be able to participate in the blitz into Paris as they don't have the movement or the ability to blitz that would enable them to do that. So, we're just going straight into Belgium with 7 medium tanks, 2 light tanks, 4 mechanized infantry, an artillery, and 2 infantry, as well as all 3 fighters, and the tactical bomber that is available. Alright. So let's go ahead and roll for Picardy. There is only 1 militia defending, and the Germans have 7 medium tanks, 3 fighters, a tactical bomber, 2 light tanks, 4 mechanized infantry, an artillery, and 2 infantry. Rolling for the first strike, it missed, so let's go ahead and get the rest of the army rolling. This is a rather large army, so I'm not going to pass it through the dice tower. The militia in Picardy missed and was wiped off the board quite handily. So that battle is over. And it took less than 2 turns, enabling a blitz into Paris. One thing of note, the first round of combat into Paris is crossing a river from Picardy, so all attacking ground units, excepting the airborne, should suffer a -1 penalty for crossing the river. So, what I have is 7 units at 5, 3 units at 6, those are my fighters. A target select, that's the medium, or the tactical bomber, that's the medium bomber, should be without target select. 2 light tanks, which hit at 2, and 2 mechanized infantry, which also hit, or 4 mechanized infantry, which also hit at 2. As well as an airborne. And that should be the entirety of my German forces available. And I believe we're going to designate these 3 as AAA units. I'm not sure what he's got going on here, so let's just say these 3 are the AAA, and so there's artillery, militia. The militia should actually be target select at 1. And the infantry, we should note, have a target select at 1, but we don't have the die to accommodate that. I do believe he's made an error in calculation. There appears to be more units here than there should be. Yeah, he's got 1 extra die. Okay, so that... There's only 2 militia. Yeah, okay. So this is artillery, and these 3 are AAA. So let's go ahead and roll them separately. The artillery misses, so that's the first strike. Everything else gets to roll. And let's take a look at these AAA hits first. Fortunately, all 3 of the AAA missed, so that's all of my airborne units survived. Let's take a look at these hits. None of them are rolled at 1. This is the closest one rolled at a 2. So all of these hits are not target select. But that is 3 hits, and we're going to take those on 2 light tanks and a mechanized infantry. Alternatively, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 hits plus 1 target select hit for the Germans. So, the AAA is gone. The militia is gone, and the artillery is gone. So that's 4 hits. Hold on, I'm having trouble counting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah. 7 hits with 1 target select. Yeah. Alright. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 hits. So there's 3 of those remaining. And what remains of the Germans, I took 3 hits. So, what should remain is all of my Air Force. All of my medium armor is replaced by hit 6s because the river penalty is gone. The 2 light tanks are dead, as is 1 mechanized infantry, which leaves 3 mechanized infantry remaining. Yeah, that remains. So this is round 2. Just 3 infantry versus the rest of the German army, so that's going to go quite well. I'm, again, not going to pass this to the dice tower. The army is too large. but the remaining French are easily wiped off the map and got no hits. So, he has rolled them, right? Yeah, he did. Okay, so the German turn is now complete with Paris captured, and that. Oh shit. I'm gonna keep the airborne. Just keep it like it is. I wanted to take a hit on the airborne first, but it's not worth the effort. Just take the hit on the mechanized infantry and the light tanks, as I stated during the battle. Um, so that is the state of the board at the end of the second combat phase. Now we have to worry about all of the effects that combat just triggered. We did take Paris, so the remaining forces in France automatically surrender. That includes all the aircraft he was planning on putting on map next turn. They don't get an opportunity to do that. Bye-bye, free French aircraft. Alsace-Lorraine, all the units are gone, and that is German territory now. Oh. As is Aquitaine and Normandy. And that increases German income by 9 IPCs, and cuts the French income to 9 as well. And that is before dealing with the creation of Vichy France, which means it'll definitely be lower than that. Southern France is worth an IPC and definitely goes to the Vichy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay. Now, now we have to worry about Vichy French creation. None of the French ships are in port or in captured territory, so we only use this set of dice results, and we need to roll this for every ship on the board that is French. So, on a result of 1 to 3, it joins the Allies, 4 to 7 is scuttled, 8 to 10 becomes a Vichy ship, 11 to 12 it becomes a German ship. There are no ships in the Indian or Pacific Oceans, so on the result of 11 to 12, they go German, not Japanese. Alright, so let's roll our d12 for every ship. Let's start with north to south, as always. So let's start with this French transport. Oh, it appears there's already a d12 available. Thanks, Arbubs. That is a result of a 5, which means it is scuttled. Moving south to A44, the first battleship rolls 8, so it is also scuttled, I believe, on 8 is Vichy. 8 is Vichy, so that is a Vichy battleship. Okay, rolling for the next battleship. That is another 8, so that is another Vichy battleship. Rolling for the next transport. It is a 12, so that becomes a German transport. I believe I have one up here that I can copy. Yes. Alright, so TB Destroyer. That is a 3, that stays free French. Submarine number 1. 4, that gets scuttled. Submarine number 2. 6, that gets scuttled. Submarine number 3. 6, that gets scuttled. Submarine number 4. 11, that goes German. That's a massive deal. A light cruiser. 5, that gets scuttled. Destroyer number 1. 10, that goes Vichy? Yeah, okay. That is a Vichy destroyer. The second destroyer, 1, that goes Free French. Then the last destroyer, 10, that goes Vichy. Wow, the French Navy is really, really going all in for the Germans on this game. And I do believe that is all of the Vichy and or French ships on the map. The French ships stay in place, the German ships are going into port, and Arbubs has already moved the Vichy ships into port in southern France. I'm going to put this submarine in port, which it should be able to do at the end of the turn during the placement of units phase. It sailed back in port into the German port during the non-combat, or technically the combat movement phase, or the combat phase of the German turn, so it should have the ability to go in port after that. Now let's move on to all African-held territories. Automatically, southern France and Corsica go Vichy French, which means an additional IPC of income goes to the Germans per turn at the expense of the French. And let's go ahead and roll for each territory. The rules here are as follows on the same chart or area that we were earlier. 1 to 6 becomes Vichy French, Free French rather. 7 to 12 becomes Vichy, and that applies to all of the territories. So, French Guiana and St. Pierre Island automatically go Free French, but are worth no money. And let's go north to south again. So let's start in Syria. One to 6 goes Free French, 7 to 12 goes Vichy, so that is a Free French territory and a Free French militia. West to east in Africa, let's go with French Morocco. That is an 8, that goes Vichy, which means an additional income taken by the Germans from the French. Algeria rolls together. All of Algeria rolls 9, so goes Vichy, which is another income. Tunisia, 12, also goes Vichy. Wow, the Germans are having an incredible set of luck with this Vichy creation. That is another income. And the French are at 5 now. Let's go with the Western African territories, which includes French Sudan, Mauritania, French Guinea, and the Ivory Coast, if I'm not mistaken. Um, and the remaining 5 territories are rolled in a separate block. Um, let's just confirm that. Mauritania, French Guinea, French Sudan, and Ivory Coast. Yes, let's roll for them. 11, also Vichy French, but not worth anything. The next block is for Eastern Sub-Saharan Africa, Dahomey, Niger, Chad, Ubangi Chari, and Cameroon. That is a 4. They go Free French. Um, there are East Africa holdings. That includes French Somaliland, the Seychelles, not Seychelles, Seychelles are British, Madagascar, and Réunion. Um, they roll together as well. They go Free French. And last is France's Pacific holdings, which includes New Caledonia, the Gambier Islands, Gambier, and both Annam Tonkin and Cochinchina. They all roll together. Um, if that is a 9, so that's Vichy, or does it go to Japan? Alright, let's take a look at the rules. Happy Japan noises. Annam Tonkin, Cochinchina will become Japanese possessed if a 7 and 12 is rolled. So yes, that does become Japanese territory at the expense of the French. So Japan goes up by 2, and France goes down by 2. France is left at 3, 1 for Madagascar, 1 for Cameroon, and 1 for Syria. Um, yes, thank you. All right. Um, also of note, the British at the end of this turn take control of Belgian Congo and Poland, both of which should align to the British. So the militia in Belgian Congo is replaced by a British equivalent, and there's British occupation, which increases the British income by 1. The same treatment occurs in Poland, where the British income, oh, that's Japanese, is increased by 2. Ah, yes, thank you for pointing that out. Um, the Dutch or the Belgian ships become British. They join the British Royal Navy, as does the Polish Navy. And all of these units become Polish as well. So that's militia, infantry, cavalry, and fighter. I don't know what he's pinging. Ah, the French ships on the build chart do also need to be addressed. Thank you, Arbubs. and that should be Poland squared away. And I didn't adjust the British income for Poland, which goes up to 25. Um, let's roll for the ships on the French build queue. So I should have a D12 laying around. Nah, it's deleted. So the French build chart should roll with a different set of rolls. Yes, 1 to 7 is scuttled, 8 to 10 is Vichy, 11 to 12 is German. So let's roll for the French cruiser. 12 goes German. And the battleship 8 gets Vichy. 1 to 7 was scuttled. 1 to 8, that's Vichy. So that's a Vichy battleship and a German heavy cruiser. Um, and that should be all of my move addressed. Thinking through it all now, combat moves. Um, for the income, now both Great Britain and Germany and France, no longer France is relevant because they're not a great power, are at war, and so now collect wartime um, income increases. So I get an additional bonus for Sweden, and for Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact. Um, and Great Britain gets income for Suez and for Iran. Also, Feck gets income increase for Aden and Suez, and Anzac gets an income increase currently for no warships. We'll see how long that lasts. And that means the German income finally at the end of the turn is at 44 IPCs, with 8 IPPs collected as a wartime bonus for a total of 52 IPPs. And let's go ahead and place what we bought at the beginning of the turn, which was 2 airborne. I don't know what happened to the other one. The airborne are being placed in Western Germany, as is the transport plane. The mechanized infantry is being placed in Eastern Germany. The transport is being placed in A12 in port in Western Germany. I did forget to declare non-combat movements at the end of turn 2 of Blitzkrieg. At the end of Paris, or of France falling, I do get to rearrange all of the German forces in France. Everything in Picardy is moving into Paris, while all of my medium armor is moving into Picardy. The mechanized infantry are staying in Paris. The aircraft are all flying back to Bavaria. In many cases, that's all they have the range for. The transport plane and the medium bomber have the range to fly to Western Germany, and so they'll do that instead. Infantry from Bavaria, I want 5 infantry to move into Western Germany. Um, and the remaining units will stay in Bavaria. The Blue Division from Berlin is moving into Western Germany as well. And then additionally, at the end of my turn, an additional Blue Division spawns in Berlin. I don't track that on the buys, but Paris, or Spain, rather, Madrid, is still occupied, and so a Blue Division does still spawn. And last but not least should be the Spanish recruit roll. It hits at a 6 or less. And that is a 6, so there are 2 additional militia in Madrid. I'm not sure what he's indicating I should roll for. Is there a Vichy recruit roll in 4.2? In 4.1? Okay. It does count Corsica, so it does hit at a 2 or less. And that is a 12, so the opposite of hit. VG, for instance, recruit roll is just going to straight up miss. Also, at the end of my turn, Paris has fallen, so I should be able to take Hungary, shouldn't I? I should be able to annex Hungary. So I'm going to do that too. Which means there's an additional 2 IPCs collected for the Germans and 2 IPCs on the economic chart. I believe that is the entirety of my German turn complete. I know this was a long one, sorry to put you through it. But just long turns have to happen, so that's the way it is. And I'll pass it off to Spitfire for the next common turn. So, best of luck.